Brace yourselves for what one KiwiSaver provider says will be the KiwiSaver election. Simplicity's Sam Stubbs says National, with its plans to raise contributions to 12%, has stolen the KiwiSaver crown from Labor. And this could be a turning point in New Zealand's economic history. Business New Zealand agrees radical policies are needed to stop the nation getting swamped by the superannuation bill, but wants incentives to help businesses who may struggle with contributions. And as Adam Hollingworth reports, we have a lot to do to catch up with Australia.
Sam Stubbs says surveys show KiwiSaver is more popular than Whittaker's chocolate.
This is a very strong statement now by National that they believe in KiwiSaver. Remember, this is the party that has consistently chipped away at KiwiSaver since it was basically set up by the Labor government. Now they've done a complete U-turn, and a very good U-turn, and said, no, we actually think this is the future.
In fact, Stubbs says National's stolen the KiwiSaver crown from Labor, whose government introduced it in 2007.
This looks like it's going to be a KiwiSaver election, and I think it's really significant that the first major policy that National have announced is on KiwiSaver.
Stubbs believes other parties may join the stance of New Zealand First to make KiwiSaver compulsory, and then things will really change.
And this could be a turning point in New Zealand's economic history. If you go back to Australia and you ask them, when did things start getting better? It was when they actually started bringing in compulsory superannuation. That was back in 1985. That was a massive turning point for the Australian economy. And I think we're about to see that happen here.
I think, it's not a political issue. It'd be fantastic to have bipartisan support for it, because it's genuinely one of those things that New Zealand over several decades, when you look at our performance relative to other countries, our savings and investment record has just not been as strong.
Stubbs says if Muldoon hadn't dumped the compulsory retirement savings scheme in 1975, we'd be sitting on $1 trillion now.
On becoming the government, National will immediately abolish the Labor superannuation scheme.
Under National's plan, New Zealand will match Australia's 12% contributions, although across the ditch, the employer contribution is on top of the salary package. In Australia, it's compulsory, while in New Zealand, KiwiSaver remains voluntary. Australian companies get big tax incentives to help pay for the scheme, and for most, investment income is levied at 15%. Kiwi investment income is levied at 28%. That can make a huge difference. But New Zealand has a universal state pension. Australia's is means tested, but more than half get some. New Zealanders still retire at 65. Australians can get hold of their super savings at 60, but can only access their state pension at 67. Here, groups representing employers say we urgently need a fix.
By 2045, 100% of income tax would all go on healthcare and pensions. So clearly that is not sustainable.
And they want the government to help employers and employees create the gold-plated retirement scheme that's envisaged.
If it is too expensive for businesses, that, again, it will fall apart. So we need to be smart about it. What about some consensus around moving the age of retirement back a few years? What about looking at the corporate tax rates? They haven't been changed in many, many years.
But Sam Stubbs says the Australian scheme introduced in 1985 shows a way forward. We've saved $130 billion. They have $4 trillion.
They have 5 times our population, but 35 times our retirement savings. They have so much saved now, they don't have to put their pension age up. And in fact, their national superannuation costs are actually going to go down as a percentage of their GDP, rather than in New Zealand where they're forecast to go up.
Labor won't release its policy till next year, but the signs are they could be bold too.
And I'm certainly not opposed to the level of contribution that they're talking about. 12% is in line with Australia, but it will also need to be accompanied by support for people on low incomes, those not in the workforce.
An election then that could define what happens to our coffers for decades to come.